I want you to understand that I wasn't scared going in. I was almost casual about it. Just a routine thing, I told myself. Something I'd been putting off for too long. Something I finally got around to. I sat in that waiting room with my phone in my hand, scrolling, not even really present. I had no idea that the next few hours were going to rearrange something inside me, that I was going to walk out of that building a slightly different person than the one who walked in. And I had no idea that in the weeks that followed, the person I would keep thinking about, the person I kept wanting to call, to reach through the screen and hold, was you. The results weren't what I expected. I'm going to be honest with you about that, even if I'm still figuring out how to be honest with myself. There are things the doctor said that I'm still processing, things I've written down in my journal at 2 in the morning and then crossed out because I wasn't ready to see them in my own handwriting. Things that made me sit in my car in the parking lot afterward and just sit. Not cry, not call anyone, just sit and breathe and look at my hands like I was trying to make sure I was still real. And in that moment, the quietest, most unexpected thought passed through my mind. I wished you were there, not anyone else. You. I don't know exactly when you became that person for me. The person I want beside me in the scary moments. Maybe it was gradual. Maybe it happened so slowly I didn't notice until I was already in too deep. But something about the way you've shown up for me, consistently, softly, without asking for anything in return, it built something in me. A kind of trust I don't give easily. A kind of comfort that I haven't found in a lot of places in my life. And sitting in that parking lot, holding news I didn't know what to do with, all I could think was she'd know what to say. You'd know what to say. You'd know what to say. I drove home and I didn't tell anyone. Not my family, not my closest friends. I made dinner like it was a normal evening. I watched something on TV that I cannot for the life of me remember now. And then I opened my phone and I read through some of your old messages, the ones you'd sent me weeks and months ago, the ones I'd saved without really knowing why. And I felt something loosen in my chest. Something that had been wound too tight for too long. You did that. Your words, sitting quietly in my phone, did that. And I realized then that I had been carrying you with me this whole time without even knowing it. I want to tell you what the results said. I do, and I will. But I need you to understand the full weight of what it means for me to do that. Because I've never been someone who shares this kind of thing. I was raised to handle things privately, to not burden people, to figure it out on your own, and present the solution rather than the problem. Sharing the problem, sharing the fear, that's new for me, that's terrifying for me. But you make me want to be different. You make me want to be the kind of person who doesn't have to be strong all the time. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things anyone has ever done for me, without even trying. Some of the results were okay. I want to give you that first, because I know you're worried now, and I don't want to leave you in that place longer than necessary. Some things came back fine, and I exhaled so hard when the doctor told me that I think I startled the nurse. But there are other things that need watching, need attention, need changes that I wasn't prepared to make. Lifestyle things, emotional things, things that made the doctor look at me carefully and say you need to take better care of yourself. And the way she said it gently, the way you'd say it to someone you could see was running on empty, it hit me somewhere I wasn't expecting to be hit. Rachel, because I know I haven't been taking care of myself. I know that. I've been pouring so much into everything and everyone around me and leaving the last smallest drop for myself. And I thought I was okay with that. I thought that was just the cost of caring deeply, of working hard, of being present for the people who need you. But sitting across from that doctor, hearing her say it out loud, I understood something I'd been avoiding. You can't keep giving from an empty place. Eventually something breaks, and I was very close to letting something break. What scares me most isn't the medical part. I need you to know that. What scares me most is the time. The time I might have been spending wrong. The mornings I rushed through. The evenings I numbed instead of feeling. The moments I was there but not really there. Present in body but somewhere else entirely. Worrying about the next thing, the next responsibility, the next thing I hadn't done yet. I don't want more of that. I don't want to look back on this season of my life and see a blur of distraction and avoidance. I want to remember it clearly. I want to remember you in it. The warmth of knowing you were here. The comfort of your presence, even through a screen, even through whatever small distance exists between us. You asked me once, and I remember this so specifically, it surprised me when I came across it again. You asked me once what I was most afraid of. It was buried in a longer message, almost like you'd slipped it in quietly, not sure if I'd see it. I saw it. I thought about it for days, and I never answered it, and I'm sorry for that. But I want to answer it now. What I'm most afraid of is wasting this. Wasting the time I have. Wasting the connections that actually mean something. Wasting the chance to love well and be loved well in return. That's it. That's the fear underneath all the other fears. And these medical results brought it right to the surface in a way nothing else has. Their hug. I've been thinking about what I want my life to look like. Really look like, not the version I perform, not the version that's polished enough for other people to feel comfortable around. The real version. The messy, honest, sometimes frightened, deeply feeling version. And in that vision, the one I keep returning to, there's warmth. There's someone who looks at me like I'm worth the time it takes to really know me. There's laughter that doesn't have an agenda. There's quiet mornings and full conversations, and the kind of honesty that only comes when you're not afraid of what it will cost you. And I think you understand what I'm describing. I think you've wanted that too. I'm not the same person I was before that appointment. I don't say that dramatically. I say it because it's simply true, the way some moments just quietly divide your life into before and after. I'm gentler with myself now, or trying to be. I'm slower. I'm paying attention to things I used to walk past. The way light comes through a window in the afternoon. The way a good song can hold you in place for 3.5 minutes. The way it feels to read a message from you and feel, even briefly, completely understood. I'm holding on to those things now. I'm not rushing past them anymore. Duart. And you are one of those things. One of those soft, real, irreplaceable things I don't want to rush past. I want to sit with you here, in whatever way this is, and let it mean something. Because it does mean something. It means something to me in a way that's hard to quantify, hard to fit into any category I had prepared. You're not just a viewer, not just a follower, not just a number I track. You are a person who chose to spend some of your time, your actual finite precious time with me. And after everything the last few months have taught me about time, I don't take that lightly. I can't take that lightly anymore. There's more I want to tell you. There's so much more about what the doctor said specifically, about the changes I've started making, about the nights in between then and now, about the thing that happened last week that I keep almost mentioning and then pulling back from because I don't quite have the words yet. I want to tell you all. I want to sit across from you, really across from you, and just talk. No script, no performance, no version of myself I've curated for anyone else, just me, the tired, hopeful, quietly terrified, deeply grateful me. The one who is learning, slowly, that being known isn't something to be afraid of, or is still figuring this out. I want you to know that too. I don't have a neat conclusion to offer you. I don't have the part where everything resolves beautifully and I stand up straighter and tell you it was all worth it. I'm still in the middle of it, still sitting with the results, still making the calls I've been putting off, still learning how to ask for help without feeling like I'm failing at something. But I'm here, I'm in it. And for whatever strange and tender reason, knowing you're here too, knowing you're going to read this or hear this, and feel it the way I feel it when I write it. That makes the middle part bearable. Don't go anywhere, please. I'm not done yet. Pauses. I keep starting sentences and stopping. I keep opening my mouth to say the next thing, and finding that the words scatter before I can catch them. And I think it's because this next part, what I'm about to walk you into, is the part I've rehearsed the least. The part I haven't practiced in front of a mirror or quietly said to myself in the shower to hear how it sounds. This is the raw part, the unedited part. The part that lives in the space between what I've been willing to admit to myself and what I've been too afraid to say out loud to anyone. And I'm giving it to you, not because I have to, not because it's easy, but because there is something about you, something specific and real, and impossible to explain rationally. That makes honesty feel safer than silence. So let me keep going. Let me stay in this with you a little longer. After I got home that night, the night of the results, I did something I hadn't done in a very long time. I sat outside, just sat. Not with my phone, not with music, not with anything to fill the quiet. I just sat under the sky and let the night be what it was. And I thought about you. I thought about the version of me that you see, and whether that version has ever been close enough to the real thing. Whether I've been honest enough with you to deserve the softness you've always given me, because you've always been soft with me. Even when I disappeared for a while, even when I was inconsistent or distant, or clearly going through something I wasn't ready to name, you never pushed, you never demanded, you just waited. With this quiet, patient kind of grace that I don't think I've ever properly thanked you for. So, let me do that now. Thank you for waiting, for not giving up on me when I went quiet, for understanding somehow, without me ever explaining it, that the silence wasn't about you. The doctor's office has this particular smell. I know that's a strange thing to focus on, but I can't stop thinking about it. Antiseptic. And something faintly floral, like someone tried to soften the clinical edges with a candle and didn't quite manage it. I sat in that chair across from her, my doctor, who I've known for years, who has seen me at various levels of pull together and not. And she looked at me with this expression that I couldn't immediately read. It wasn't alarm, it wasn't the look that means something is catastrophically wrong. It was more like concern, the quiet, considered kind. The kind that means someone is choosing their words carefully because they want them to land right. And she said something to me that I've turned over in my mind every single day since. She said, "Your body has been telling you something for a long time and you've been very good at not listening." I didn't respond right away. I just looked at my hands in my lap. Because she was right. She was completely, uncomfortably right. And the thing about someone being right in a way that reaches past your defenses is that you can't argue with it. You can't deflect or reframe or redirect. You just have to sit there and let the truth of it settle into you. My body had been telling me things. My exhaustion that went beyond tired, that deep bone kind of worn down that sleep didn't seem to touch. The headaches I kept attributing to stress, the way certain mornings felt like I was moving through something thick and resistant, like the air itself was asking more of me than I had to give. I kept explaining it away. I kept finding reasons that were easier than the real reason. And the real reason, the one she gently, firmly placed in front of me, was that I had not been treating myself like someone worth taking care of. Not rhetorically, actually. I want you to think about this while I'm talking to you. Have you ever done that? Have you ever moved through your own life like you were the last item on the list? Like everyone and everything else had a higher priority claim on your time, your energy, your gentleness, and you got whatever was left at the end, which was usually very little, and always given with a sigh, because I think you might know what I'm describing. I think you might know it more than you've ever admitted to yourself. And if that's true, if you're living that way right now, even a little, I want you to hear what I'm about to say, not just as something I'm working through, but as something I'm saying to you too. You deserve better than the last drops. You deserve the first and the fullest. And I'm sorry if no one has said that to you clearly enough, or often enough. I'm saying it now. The changes she asked me to make weren't too dramatic. That's the strange thing. I think I expected her to hand me some impossible list, overhaul everything, transform your entire life, become a different person by next Tuesday. But it wasn't like that. It was small things, foundational things, sleep, water, food that actually nourishes instead of just fills. Movement that I do because I love my body, not because I'm punishing it. Moments of stillness in the day where I'm not consuming anything or producing anything, just existing. And rest, real rest. Not the kind where you lie down but your mind is still running laps. The kind where you actually let go. She said the word inflammation more than once. And she said the word stress even more than that. And she connected them in a way that made it very clear that the war I'd been waging quietly inside myself had been leaving marks. I left with a folder of information and a follow-up appointment, scheduled, and this strange combination of relief and grief. Relief because it wasn't worse. Because there is a path forward that doesn't require anything catastrophic, just consistency and care. Grief because, and this took me a while to understand, grief because I had let it get this far. Because somewhere along the way I had decided, without consciously deciding it, that my needs were negotiable, that I could keep deferring them, that there would always be time later to take care of myself, and later, and my body, patient as it had been, had finally started to insist on being heard. Don't. I've been sleeping more. I want to tell you that. It feels like such a small thing to say, but it's actually enormous for me. I'm someone who used to treat sleep like a theft, like every hour unconscious was an hour stolen from productivity, from usefulness, from the endless list of things that needed doing. I would push through exhaustion like it was weakness. I would wake up already behind, already calculating, already in motion before my eyes were fully open. And now I'm trying something different. I'm letting myself sleep until I'm done sleeping. I'm lying in the dark in the morning for a few extra minutes and not immediately reaching for my phone. I'm trying to start the day like it's something to ease into rather than something to attack. And it feels different. My mind feels different. Less jagged. Less like something brittle being held together by will alone. And in those quiet morning minutes, in that soft space between sleep and full wakefulness, you know who I think about. You. I think about you in this uncomplicated, tender way that doesn't ask anything of itself. I don't try to figure out what it means or where it fits, or what category it belongs in. I just let it be what it is. A warmth, a presence, the feeling of not being entirely alone in whatever this is. And I've started to think that maybe that's one of the things I'm supposed to learn from all of this. How to let good things exist without immediately trying to qualify them, or contain them, or make them make sense. Some things are just good. Some connections are just real. And maybe the most honest thing I can do is stop questioning it, and just let you know. Though, there's a specific message you sent me. I'm not going to tell you exactly when, because I don't want you to go looking for it and feel self-conscious about it. But there was a message where you said something about how you hoped I was being as kind to myself as I try to be to others. Just that. Just that one quiet sentence. And I remember reading it and feeling something twist in my chest, because it was such a precise and gentle thing to say. And because the answer, if I'd been honest, was no. No, I wasn't. Not even close. But I saved that message. I have it still, and I've read it more times than you probably imagine. And now I'm trying to make the answer different. I'm trying to make the answer yes. Is there. Maybe 2 weeks after the appointment. I had made dinner. Something simple, something I actually cooked, instead of ordered or skipped entirely, which was already a small victory. And I sat down to eat it slowly, at an actual table, not standing over the counter or in front of a screen. And I put on music, something soft and unhurried. And I just sat in my life for a little while, in the ordinary, unglamorous, deeply human fact of it. And something happened in that ordinariness that I wasn't expecting. I felt grateful, not the performed kind of grateful, not the kind you express because you know you should, the real kind. The kind that rises up from somewhere below language and just fills you quietly. I was grateful to be sitting there, grateful to have food in front of me and music in the air and the knowledge that somewhere on the other side of a screen you existed and you cared and you'd been waiting patiently for me to be okay. Doll, that sounds like a small thing. I know it might sound like a small thing, but after months of moving through my life like a series of tasks to be completed, feeling something that real and that unasked for was enormous. It was like a reminder, like something tapping me gently on the shoulder and saying, this is why, this is what you're taking care of yourself for. Not to be productive, not to perform wellness, but to actually be here, actually present in your own life, actually able to feel the good things when they come, instead of rushing past them to the next obligation. Toy, I'm learning how to be here. I need you to know that's what's happening. Underneath everything else I might show you, underneath whatever version of me you see on any given day, I am learning how to actually be here. In my body, in my life, in the moments that make up the ordinary, extraordinary fact of being alive. And that learning is messy and nonlinear, and some days I'm better at it than others. Some days I fall back into the old patterns without even noticing, until I'm already exhausted and depleted and running on fumes again. But I catch it faster now, I notice sooner, and I come back to the things that help, the sleep, the stillness, the music, the slow meals, the quiet mornings. That am to you, I come back to you, to the thought of you, to the warmth of knowing that what exists between us. Whatever this tender, real, uncategorizable thing is, it's worth protecting, worth showing up for, worth getting better for. Because here's the thing I've understood more clearly than almost anything else these past few months. You can't really be present for the people you love if you're not first present for yourself. And I want to be present for you. I want to be actually fully, genuinely here when you need me. Not the hollow, going through the motions version, the real one. The one who has rested enough to listen, who has taken care of himself enough to care deeply, who has been honest enough with himself to be honest with you. There's still so much I haven't said. There's a part of the results I've been circling around, coming close to and then pulling back from, and I think you can feel that. I think you can sense the shape of the thing I'm not quite saying yet. And I promise you, I promise, I'm going to get there. I'm going to say the whole thing. I just need you to stay with me a little longer. I need you to keep being what you've always been. Patient, warm, here. Because this next part is the part that scared me most. The part that changed the specific way I think about the future. The part that more than anything else made me want to reach through whatever distance exists between us and find your hand. So, don't go, please. We're not done yet. We're just getting to the part that matters most. There are things you carry alone for so long that they start to feel like part of you. Like they're not separate from who you are anymore. They've just become part of the architecture, part of the walls. And you stop noticing them the way you stop noticing a scar after enough time has passed. You know it's there, you've made peace with its presence, but you don't look at it directly anymore. You don't press on it to see if it still hurts. You just leave it alone and hope that leaving it alone is the same thing as healing. I had things like that. I still do, if I'm being completely honest. Places inside me that I've been careful not to press on. Rooms I've kept locked, not because I forgot what was inside them, but because I remembered too well. And I think part of what these last few months have cracked open in me is the understanding that those locked rooms have been costing me something. That the energy it takes to keep certain doors closed is energy I could be spending on actually living, actually feeling, actually being the kind of person who is fully present in his own life instead of partially present and partially guarding the parts he's afraid to show. Taban. And I want to show you that's what keeps rising up in me as I sit here talking to you. This quiet, persistent, almost desperate want to just show you everything. Not because I need to be fixed or saved or told it's all going to be okay, but because I am so tired, so genuinely deeply tired of being known only partially, of letting people see the edited version, of smiling in a way that's real but not complete, of sharing things that are true but not the whole truth. I want someone to know the whole thing. And the person I keep imagining, when I think about what it would feel like to be truly known, the face I keep seeing on the other side of that honesty is yours. The part of the results I've been circling. I said I would get there, and I meant it. So let me try. Let me try to say it clearly, without dressing it up in language that softens it too much. Because I think you deserve the undressed version. I think you've earned it. The doctor told me that my heart, and she meant this literally, medically, the actual muscle in my chest, my heart has been under significant stress. There are markers, she explained. Things that show up in tests and tell a story about how a body has been living. And my markers were telling a story I didn't want to hear. Not a crisis, I want to be clear about that. I don't want you to be frightened beyond what the truth warrants, but a warning. A serious, clear-eyed, this is not something to dismiss warning. The kind that comes with words like early indicators, and if we don't address this now, and the trajectory concerns me. She said the word trajectory, and something in me went very still, because trajectory is a word about the future. It's a word about where you're headed. And I had never really stopped to think honestly about where I was headed. I drove home in silence that day, no music, no podcast, nothing. Just the road and the sound of my own breathing and this new uncomfortable awareness of my heartbeat. I could feel it. I don't know if you've ever had the experience of suddenly becoming acutely aware of your own heartbeat, not in a romantic way, not in the way it quickens when something beautiful surprises you, but in this clinical, frightening way where you're just aware of it as a mechanism, as a thing that is working right now, but has been working too hard for too long, without enough care. I felt it all the way home. I sat in my car in the driveway, and I felt it. And I thought, I have not been kind to this heart, to this body that has carried me through everything without complaint, that has kept going even when I gave it very little reason to, that has shown up for every single day of my life without me ever stopping to say thank you. So I'm saying thank you now to my own body, which sounds like a strange thing to say out loud, but which is one of the most important things I've learned in all of this. That gratitude starts at home. It starts in the body you live in. It starts with treating the physical fact of yourself with the same gentleness you'd offer to someone you love. And I haven't always done that. I haven't been tender with myself. I've pushed and demanded and ignored and overridden and kept going long past the point where going was reasonable. And my heart, my actual, literal beating heart, had the evidence of all of that written into it, in ways a doctor could read from a test result. She gave me a plan, medication adjustments, dietary changes, a specific kind of movement that supports cardiac health without adding stress, monitoring appointments, scheduled at regular intervals over the next year. A year. I sat with that word too. A year of paying close attention. And my heart, my actual, literal beating heart, had the evidence of all of that written into it, in ways a doctor could read from a test result. She gave me a plan, medication adjustments, dietary changes, a specific kind of movement that supports cardiac health without adding stress, monitoring appointments, scheduled at regular intervals over the next year. A year. I sat with that word too. A year of paying close attention. A year of checking in, of adjusting, of not being able to drift back into comfortable unawareness because the appointments are right there on the calendar, regular as seasons, pulling me back into accountability. And I felt two things simultaneously, the weight of it and the strange relief of it. Because there's something about having a plan that makes even frightening things feel survivable. There's something about being told here is what we do next that quiets the part of your mind that was spinning out into worst-case scenarios. Lengthy. But there was a moment, a specific moment in that appointment that I haven't told anyone about, that I've been carrying by myself since it happened. She was going through the plan with me, practical and thorough, and she stopped and she looked at me and she asked a question I wasn't expecting. She asked, "Is there anything in your emotional life that you think might be contributing to this?" And I opened my mouth to say no. I had the no ready. It was right there, automatic, reflexive. The no that I keep on hand for exactly this kind of question, but it didn't come out. I sat there with my mouth open, and the no dissolved, and what came instead was this long, complicated silence. And then I said, "I think I've been lonely. I think I've been lonely." I don't know if I've ever said that out loud before. I've thought it. In the very late hours of certain nights I've thought it with a clarity that was almost painful. This recognition of a particular kind of aloneness that has nothing to do with being surrounded by people and everything to do with feeling unseen inside that crowd. Because I have people in my life. I want you to know that I'm not without people. But having people and feeling truly known by someone are two entirely different things. And I have spent a long time being surrounded and still feeling, in this specific and quiet way, alone. Kozold, that's that. And I love her for this, I genuinely do. She didn't rush past it. She didn't nod and move on to the next item on her list. She set her pen down and she gave me the full weight of her attention and she said, "That matters. That's not separate from what we're treating. That's part of it." And she talked to me about connection, about what isolation, even the internal, invisible kind, does to the body over time, about how the heart, for all its mechanical precision, is also deeply responsive to emotional reality. That loneliness is not just a feeling, it's a physiological condition that has measurable effects on the cardiovascular system, that the body knows when it's been alone too long, even when the mind has learned to live with it. Oh, I sat with that for weeks. I'm still sitting with it now, because it reframed something for me in a way I wasn't entirely prepared for. It made everything I'd been dismissing as soft. The longing for closeness, the ache for someone who really sees you, the quiet grief of moving through your days without someone to tell the small things to. It made all of that medically significant, physiologically real, not weakness. Not something to be managed or minimized or pushed past. Something that matters. Something my body had been registering and recording and apparently reacting to for a very long time. The Bennington, I thought about you. Of course I did. I thought about you and about this thing between us that I've been so careful about naming. This warmth, this realness, this feeling of being understood that reaches me even through a screen. Even across whatever distance exists between your life and mine. I thought about how many times I've read something you wrote and felt less alone. How many times your presence, even at a distance, even in this form, has been the thing that loosened something tight inside me. How many evenings your words have been the kindest thing said to me all day, in a day that had plenty of words in it but very few kind ones. And I realized that what you have been giving me, without knowing you were giving it, without asking for anything in return, is something my body has literally needed. Something my heart has been hungry for. That's not a small thing. I need you to understand that. That is not a small, incidental, easily replaceable thing. That is something rare and something real, and I have not been honoring it the way it deserves to be honored. I've been receiving it quietly and gratefully but privately, filing it away in that place where I keep things that matter too much to look at directly. And I'm done doing that. I'm bringing it out into the light. I'm telling you directly, clearly, with everything I have, that you have mattered to this recovery, to this reckoning, to this slow and imperfect process of a man learning how to take care of himself before it's too late. You are part of why I'm trying. There is a version of this story where I never say any of this, where I go to the appointments and make the changes and quietly get better and never tell you what was underneath it all. And I was living inside that version for a while. It felt safer. It felt like the responsible choice, not to burden you, not to make you feel responsible for my well-being, not to reach through the screen and ask for something that wasn't mine to ask for. But something shifted. Something in me looked at the path ahead, at the year of monitoring and adjusting and paying attention, and said, I don't want to do this alone. I don't want to keep doing everything alone. And the person I most don't want to be without is you. Hope you. I've been writing to you in my journal. I realize how that sounds, and I'm saying it anyway. I write to you sometimes when I can't sleep, when the thoughts are too loud, and I need somewhere to put them. Not letters I ever intended to share, just the act of directing my thoughts toward you, toward your warmth, toward the imagined presence of someone who actually wants to know how I'm doing and means it when they ask. It helps. It helps more than I know how to explain. There is something about writing toward you specifically that makes the thoughts settle, that makes the fear quieter, that makes me feel less like I'm spinning out alone into something vast, and more like I'm sitting across from someone in a warm room, late at night, saying the real things. The rung seal, and now I'm doing that here. In this space, in this form, in this strange and tender way of reaching, and I don't fully know what I'm asking for. I don't have a neat request to make, a clear thing I need you to do. I think what I'm asking for, the only thing I'm really asking, is exactly what you've already been giving me. Your presence, your patience, your willingness to show up and read this and feel it and carry a little piece of it with you after you're done. Because that's what you do. You carry the things I say. I can feel it somehow. I can feel that somehow. I can feel that you don't just consume what I share and move on. You hold it. And being held even like this, even at this distance, is changing something in me. I'm going to my next appointment in a few days. I want you to know that. I want you to know I'm going. That I'm not avoiding it. That I am doing the hard and unglamorous work of showing up for myself. Because someone you, among others, but especially you, has made me understand that I am worth showing up for. I'm taking the medication. I'm eating differently. I'm sleeping. I'm sitting outside sometimes in the evenings and just breathing and letting my heart beat at its own pace without demanding more of it. And on the hardest days, the days when the old patterns pull hard and the exhaustion talks louder than the good intentions, I think about what you said, about being as kind to myself as I try to be to others. And I tried. I really tried. There's one more thing. One thing I haven't said yet, that I've been moving toward this whole time without quite arriving. Something that feels like the center of all of it. The reason the results shook me so specifically, the reason the loneliness hit different when the doctor named it. The reason I keep reaching toward you in these long, unguarded conversations that I couldn't have imagined having a year ago. And I'm so close to saying it. I can feel it right at the edge of where words begin. I just need a little more courage. A little more of whatever it is you give me, simply by being here and reading this and caring about what comes next. Was this long, complicated silence. And then I said, I think I've been lonely. I think I've been lonely. I don't know if I've ever said that out loud before. I've thought it. In the very late hours of certain nights I've thought it with a clarity that was almost painful. This recognition of a particular kind of aloneness that has nothing to do with being surrounded by people and everything to do with feeling unseen inside that crowd. Because I have people in my life. I want you to know that I'm not without people. But having people and feeling truly known by someone are two entirely different things. And I have spent a long time being surrounded and still feeling, in this specific and quiet way, alone. And I love her for this, I genuinely do. She didn't rush past it. She didn't nod and move on to the next item on her list. She set her pen down and she gave me the full weight of her attention and she said, "That matters. That's not separate from what we're treating. That's part of it." And she talked to me about connection, about what isolation, even the internal, invisible kind, does to the body over time, about how the heart, for all its mechanical precision, is also deeply responsive to emotional reality. That loneliness is not just a feeling, it's a physiological condition that has measurable effects on the cardiovascular system. That the body knows when it's been alone too long, even when the mind has learned to live with it. Oh, I sat with that for weeks. I'm still sitting with it now, because it reframed something for me in a way I wasn't entirely prepared for. It made everything I'd been dismissing as soft. The longing for closeness, the ache for someone who really sees you, the quiet grief of moving through your days without someone to tell the small things to. It made all of that medically significant, physiologically real, not weakness, not something to be managed or minimized or pushed past, something that matters, something my body had been registering and recording and apparently reacting to for a very long time. Then I thought about you. Of course I did. I thought about you and about this thing between us that I've been so careful about naming. This warmth, this realness, this feeling of being understood that reaches me even through a screen, even across whatever distance exists between your life and mine. I thought about how many times I've read something you wrote and felt less alone. How many times your presence, even at a distance, even in this form, has been the thing that loosened something tight inside me. How many evenings your words have been the kindest thing said to me all day, in a day that had plenty of words in it but very few kind ones. And I realized that what you have been giving me, without knowing you were giving it, without asking for anything in return, is something my body has literally needed. Something my heart has been hungry for. That's not a small thing. I need you to understand that. That is not a small, incidental, easily replaceable thing. That is something rare and something real, and I have not been honoring it the way it deserves to be honored. I've been receiving it quietly and gratefully but privately, filing it away in that place where I keep things that matter too much to look at directly. And I'm done doing that. I'm bringing it out into the light. I'm telling you directly, clearly, with everything I have, that you have mattered to this recovery, to this reckoning, to this slow and imperfect process of a man learning how to take care of himself before it's too late. You are part of why I'm trying. There is a version of this story where I never say any of this, where I go to the appointments and make the changes and quietly get better and never tell you what was underneath it all. And I was living inside that version for a while. It felt safer. It felt like the responsible choice, not to burden you, not to make you feel responsible for my well-being, not to reach through the screen and ask for something that wasn't mine to ask for. But something shifted. Something in me looked at the path ahead, at the year of monitoring and adjusting and paying attention, and said, I don't want to do this alone. I don't want to keep doing everything alone. And the person I most don't want to be without is you. Hope you. I've been writing to you in my journal. I realize how that sounds, and I'm saying it anyway. I write to you sometimes when I can't sleep, when the thoughts are too loud, and I need somewhere to put them. Not letters I ever intended to share, just the act of directing my thoughts toward you, toward your warmth.